Have you ever seen a US president land like a Western monarch in the heart of the desert? Not at the White House, but beneath golden domes, with fighter jets screaming across the Middle Eastern sky and handshakes worth trillions of dollars. This wasn't a routine diplomatic visit. It was a modern royal spectacle where Donald Trump arrived not just as a head of state, but as a sovereign of a new era. Today, we pull back the curtain on a historic moment, glittering with precious metals, royal ceremony, and deals that shook the very foundations of the global geopolitical map. This is the story of an unprecedented welcome, where power, oil, and prestige fused into a spectacle so dazzling the whole world had no choice but to look. Welcome back to Billionaire Signature, where power isn't just a title, but the art of ruling in the modern world. If you're captivated by the grand stage of politics and luxury, don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you never miss a single moment of the spectacle. On May 13th, 2025, under the searing sun of the Middle Eastern desert, Air Force One descended over the skies of Riyadh. But this was no ordinary diplomatic arrival. In the air, 4 F-15 fighter jets from the Royal Saudi Air Force flew in tight formation alongside the presidential plane, not just as an escort, but as a ceremonial declaration. A guest of immense stature had arrived. On the ground, the traditional red carpet was nowhere to be seen. In its place lay a royal lavender carpet, rich in deep purple hues, a deliberate choice, both elegant and culturally profound. The color, often associated with royalty, also evoked the resilient wildflowers that bloom across the Arabian sands, a symbol of hospitality, strength, and the evolving identity of modern Saudi Arabia. As Donald Trump descended the steps of Air Force One, he wasn't merely setting foot on Saudi soil. It was the moment he entered a new geopolitical chessboard, where ceremony, power, and strategic messaging were woven into every detail, no matter how subtle it seemed. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman personally welcomed him, presenting a gold-plated cup of coffee, a gesture of deep respect for the Western king. Sleek black Bentleys sliced through the streets of Riyadh, escorting the US president to Al Yamama Palace, where the glow of hundreds of crystal chandeliers shimmered above like floating crowns in a palace suspended between tradition and power. There, in a room draped in silk and lined with marble, Trump and MBS sat face to face, not merely as politician and head of state, but as two sovereigns quietly negotiating the balance of global power. At the center of it all, a massive $600 billion deal, including $142 billion in defense contracts alone. Industry giants like Boeing, Raytheon, and Lockheed Martin weren't just participants. Their names were etched into the negotiation table like strategic chess pieces in a high-stakes game of global influence. But that's just the surface. Saudi Aramco, the oil giant, has pledged $50 billion into the US economy. The Public Investment Fund, PIF, the royal family's financial powerhouse, has promised another $100 billion for infrastructure, technology, AI, and green energy. Trump declared to the global media, "We're not just signing deals, we're rewriting the future. The total value could reach $1 trillion and create 2 million jobs." At the end of his visit, Trump didn't depart merely as the President of the United States. He was awarded the Order of Abdulaziz Al Saud, honored as an imperial strategist. And in that final moment, as Trump raised his hand high and the Crown Prince placed his hand over his heart, a silent, unwritten ritual of absolute power unfolded. That image didn't just mark the end of a visit, it became a symbol. This was more than a visit. It was a coronation, a moment where the world witnessed a superpower redefining itself through oil, arms, and grand strategy. From the searing sun of Riyadh to the deep blue skies over the Persian Gulf, Air Force One continued its journey, not just as a flight, but as a signal of a diplomatic tremor rippling across the region. Next stop, Doha, Qatar. If Riyadh was the ceremonial overture of royal diplomacy, Then Doha was the strategic crescendo, where gold, gas, and global influence merged into a language understood only by those shaping the course of the 21st century. At Hamad International Airport, where lights reflect off glass domes like a cathedral of technology, Trump descended the stairs to the sound of ceremonial drums and a flurry of camera flashes. Emir Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, dressed in a crisp white thobe, awaited at the end of the red carpet, greeting the US president like a trusted ally, a Western sovereign entering the diamond fortress of the Persian Gulf. But the ceremony was just the surface. The real storm came in the form of numbers. Moments later, in the dazzling halls of the Emir-e-Diwan Palace, where golden domes crown the ceilings and mirror-like floors reflect the grandeur above, a historic deal was signed. Qatar Airways committed to purchasing 160 Boeing aircraft, including aviation icons like the 777X and 787 Dreamliner. Total value, $96 billion. But this wasn't just a transaction, it was a powerful jolt to the heart of American manufacturing, projected to generate over 150,000 jobs across the US, from Seattle to Charleston. And then came the moment that made the whole world hold its breath. With a calm yet commanding smile, Emir Tamim stepped forward and presented Trump with a gift no one could have imagined: a custom gold-plated Boeing 747, its interior likened to a flying Versailles. Estimated value, $400 million. Trump, in his signature style, smiled broadly and nodded as he accepted the gift, as if receiving the throne of a rising Islamic power. But back in Washington, lawmakers weren't smiling. Because the US Constitution, specifically the Emoluments Clause, prohibits a sitting president from accepting any gifts, titles, or benefits from foreign governments without the explicit consent of Congress. The White House later responded, "This is a smart financial strategy. It will save hundreds of millions in national budget spending." But to the media and lawmakers, the gift was far more than just an aircraft. It was a global litmus test of political ethics playing out on the world stage. Amid the shimmering lights of Doha by night, the two leaders sat over glasses of mint tea in the opulent Emir-e-Diwan Palace, discussing Iran, Gulf peace, and Qatar's delicate role as a strategic intermediary among global powers. Trump wasn't just building alliances, he was shaping an empire. From the glass towers reflecting over the Doha Bay to the futuristic skyline of Abu Dhabi, his tour had already moved far beyond the bounds of traditional diplomacy. It became a declaration of a new world order, where currency, energy, and influence were orchestrated like notes in a symphony of global power. This was no longer pure politics, but a stage where superpowers performed their might before a world in the midst of transformation. May 15th, 2025. President Donald Trump arrived in Abu Dhabi on the third stop of his Middle East tour. No longer a political spectacle, this visit to the UAE carried a clear focus: economics, defense, and a bold push for a next-generation technology alliance. As Air Force One touched down at Abu Dhabi International Airport, Donald Trump was greeted by senior officials from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and top military commanders, standing in for Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed, who was abroad on official business. Though the welcome was more understated than in Riyadh or Doha, beneath the elegant restraint lay a series of meticulously prearranged agreements, a clear reflection of the UAE's pragmatic and results-driven approach to strategic partnerships. During the official meeting at the Emirates Center for Strategic Studies and Research, ECSSR, Trump expressed strong alignment with the UAE on expanding joint investments in security, artificial intelligence, renewable energy, and transportation, signaling a deepening of strategic cooperation across critical sectors. At the heart of the talks was a framework agreement in which the UAE pledged multi-tiered investments into major US AI megaprojects, including the Arizona data center, high-performance computing HPC industries in Texas, and a healthcare-focused AI network developed in collaboration with OpenAI. In addition, ADNOC and Masdar announced the launch of the UAE-US Joint Investment Fund for Innovative Energy, with an initial capital of $50 billion. The fund aims to accelerate investment in green hydrogen, wind and solar energy ecosystems across the western United States. That evening, Trump attended an exclusive reception at Qasr Al-Bar Palace. The setting was more intimate and refined than lavish, reflecting the discreet yet purposeful style of the UAE's leadership. The true impact of the evening didn't come from ceremony or chandeliers, but from a bold strategic declaration. The UAE committed to investing $1.4 trillion in the United States over the next decade. The investment spans technology, defense, commerce, and innovation, including forward-looking projects like NEOM, where lifestyle design, smart cities, and a post-oil vision converge into a single, global strategy. The most striking highlight was a $500 billion investment into Project Stargate, a massive AI infrastructure initiative connecting global networks of data centers, supercomputers, and machine learning platforms. With key players like SoftBank, OpenAI, Oracle, and Z Corporation involved, Stargate is more than just technology. It's the strategic backbone of a cross-border AI ecosystem poised to reshape the digital future. But the UAE didn't stop there. They announced a $60 billion investment in LNG production in Texas, reinforcing their pivotal role in U.S. energy security and expanding their footprint in the global natural gas supply chain. At the same time, a $14.5 billion aviation deal was signed, including orders for Boeing 787s and 700 777X aircraft, further deepening aerospace ties and boosting industrial collaboration between the two nations. Trump praised the UAE as bold minds who don't wait for the future, they build it themselves. During the press conference, he openly criticized the US export controls on AI chips. Why deny our allies access to strategic tools when they've already bought our F-35s? A statement that drew immediate applause from both sides of the room. No fireworks, no grand ceremony, just signatures that reshape the global order. Trump wasn't merely chasing deals, he was redefining the very concept of strategic alliance through action. Trump departed the UAE to resounding applause amid the echoes of multi-billion-dollar deals and a strategic vision linking the Middle East with Silicon Valley, where soft power is crafted through technology and capital. But what do you think? Is this a strategic turning point that positions the US once again as the leading force in the Middle East, or simply a masterfully staged performance draped in royal elegance? Should the future of US diplomacy be painted with handshakes and economic partnerships, or with military might as in the past? We want to hear from you. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Your voice could shape the broader conversation about the true role of soft power in the 21st century. And don't forget to hit the notification bell to join us as we uncover the hidden layers of global geopolitics. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in our next deep dive into strategic affairs.